Yeah, yeah, it should. Yeah, I'll say you might want to turn your volume off. All right, everyone, I think we're getting it going here. We're having some technical difficulties. And I know I swear I say that, but when I teach every single class, but it usually happens. So let me get this out of the way. All right, you got me up? Okay, I think I should be good there. Okay, good evening, everybody. So I think we're finally up and running. Like I said, we're having some issues with the Zoom, so I usually stream this through the Folk Chiropractic page with the Zoom slides. But I'm streaming through my personal one. So if you want to see the slides better, you'll want to go to my personal stream, and you'll actually be able to see the slides. If not, you can just watch here, and I'll kind of go through everything. And if you're not friends with me on Facebook yet, I will share the other one I do onto the Folk Chiropractic page tomorrow. So it'll all get worked out. So, all right. All right, good evening, everyone. So I'm Dr. Jaime Trent. So I am a chiropractor here in Paola, Kansas at Folk Chiropractic and Acupuncture. I've been a chiropractor since 2002. My journey kind of begun, of course, as a family business. We've got 11 chiropractors in our family. But then once I got out of school and into practice, I started realizing I wanted to do a little bit more than just chiropractic. So I decided, I kind of saw that my patients needed more than just adjustments. They needed nutrition guidance, they needed supplements, and they just needed a lot of help with their lifestyle overall. So that's kind of been my journey with all of this. Also, I started having kids, so that's when I really started asking, what do we really need to be putting into our bodies? Because, you know, if you're a mom or a dad or anything, you know, their health is more important than anything to you. So, but that's kind of where it began, and like I said, now we're kind of do a lot of functional medicine. I run a lot of lifestyle programs. The main program that I run 3 times a year is this Detox program that we're going to go into detail about why you need it and kind of the ins and outs of it. But please, if you have any questions out there on Facebook, go ahead and put them in the comments below. Micah's here. She's going to try to grab them for me. And if I don't get to them during the class, I will definitely go back and get them later. So, and guys, like I said here, everybody here, please ask me questions. Talk to me. So, all right. So, the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will instruct his patients in the care of the human frame and diet and in the cause and prevention of disease. Now, does this sound like kind of what happens when you go to your medical doctor? Does this kind of sound like anything you really even sounds familiar? So we need to stop expecting our doctors to be in charge of our health. Our health, your health is not as important to anyone else as yourself. So you need to take control of it, but you need to find somebody that's going to be a partner in that with you. So I think a lot of people go to their medical doctor or the cardiologist or whatever, and they're the boss. They feel like they're the boss. If they don't do what they say, they're going to stop seeing them. They're scared. That is not the type of relationship you want to have with your doctor. You need to find a doctor that you trust, for one, but that you feel heard. And this should be all the doctors and things that you see, and that's hard to find anymore. So, but when you go into the doctor, of course, they're not really treating the underlying cause of disease. They're treating disease. They're not treating the underlying cause. They're kind of covering up symptoms. The tools they have as a medical doctor is they have pretty much drugs or surgery. So if those don't apply, they don't have a lot for you. And like I said, they're treating disease. They're not helping your body function, but they're not improving your health. They're keeping you alive. That is their goal. And if you have a disease, they are required to treat that disease. And that's why sometimes they get frustrated, I hate to say liability sometimes, when they're pushing you to do things because they can get in trouble if you don't take this medications and things like that. So we need to kind of remember that. So, but medications, they just cover up the symptoms and allow the disease process to continue to get worse. That's what a lot of people don't understand. They think, well, I take this medication, I have high blood pressure, I'll take high blood pressure medication and that will take care of it. No. High blood pressure a lot of times is caused because the liver is just overworked and overburdened. So if you take the blood pressure medication, yeah, your blood pressure may stay normal, but all the other problems are going to start to get worse. The inflammation in your body is just going to continue to get worse. Your blood sugar, which is probably one of the big causes of high blood pressure anyways, is going to continue to rise. So we've got to kind of start asking what is the underlying cause, and we've got to look to strengthening our body to eliminate these symptoms. So, and I misspelled that. So I changed it today and I misspelled it. So that should say underlying causes of health problems. When we're looking at the body, I mean, there's pretty much, it breaks down to 3 things. Is there a nutritional deficiency? Is there a vitamin, a mineral, a phytochemical, or something that you are lacking in your diet Do you have something that is stressing the body, which can be a lot of things, or do you have something genetically that is affecting how your body works? So we're going to talk about each one of those. So nutritional deficiencies, pretty basic. I mean, you understand that. When we're lacking vitamins, minerals, our body cannot function properly. And I say you should, everybody knows that, but I'm shocked how many people don't know this. I mean, it's really amazing how many people really don't understand that if you are eating junk food and fast food every single day, your body cannot continue to function on that substance, just on calories. So we've gotten, and I think that's, with weight loss, we've gotten so focused on just calories that we don't take into account the quality of our calories, and that's what it's about. So we need a lot more than just calories. So the best source of these vitamins and minerals, of course, are from our food. So that's why most of the supplements that we use in our practice are all whole food source. So when you look at the label, it's actually reading more like a grocery list. Now, maybe foods you've never heard of before, like Spanish black radish and juniper berry, but still they're foods. They're going to feed your body, and that's where we're meant to get our nutrition from. So taking whole food nutritional supplements are a must to maintain health, because our food is not as nutritious as it was 50, 60, 70 years ago. They say 1 cup of spinach back there is equal to like 50 now. So we're not replenishing the soil. They're not doing all that. So we're just not getting nutrition. So that's why a lot of nutrition is a must, even if you have a perfect diet. And I don't know anybody who has a perfect diet. So, all right, excess stress. This can be a lot of things. Of course, when I say stress, most people think emotional, and that is definitely part of it. But this can also be lack of sleep. It can be toxic burden, too many chemicals in the body from either the environment, heavy metals, different things like that. It can be immune challenges, which is what a lot of people don't know about. Parasites, viruses, bacteria, fungus. And these are things that not like you're sick with a virus. It's something that's like, we call it a stealth pathogen. It's something that's living in your body and kind of burdening it, but it's not causing a full immune response. So it just is constantly stressing that body. And parasites is a big one we see a lot. And I'm not always, I can say always, sometimes we're talking about worms, but a lot of times we're talking about microscopic parasites. And the definition of a parasite is just something that lives off your body at the expense of your body. Okay, so we want to make sure we're dealing with those. Fungus, the most common one is candida. Most people have heard of that one. So candida is just when it's more of a yeast, but it just overgrows. We have it in our body, but it's when we start feeding it things like sugar, the things that it loves, that has a tendency to start overgrowing. That's when we start getting severe sugar cravings. We get itchy skin. We get more gas, bloating, and usually the sugar cravings are worse at night. Hot temperatures usually make your symptoms worse, like those rashes get real itchy. And we usually see the skin rashes kind of in the warmer parts. For women, it's under the bra and different things like that. Then food intolerances. So food intolerances, there's food intolerances and there's food allergies. So they're completely different. So food allergies, and they're both affecting different parts of the immune system. So a food allergy is something you eat a food like a peanut, and you have an immediate reaction. You're like swelling up, your nose is running, you can't breathe. A food intolerance is a more delayed reaction. It can actually take 12, 24, even up to 72 hours to actually have the reaction. And a lot of times the reactions are a lot more subtle. And it may take a few exposures to actually kind of build up. So like a lot of people actually have an intolerance to eggs. So if they maybe just eat it once a week, they may not have any problems. But if they eat that every day for like a year, eventually it's going to start irritating that gut lining, which is going to cause an immune response. Once we get that immune response, we're going to start really breaking down that gut lining, and we're going to eventually get to leaky gut. So and I like to explain that when we're talking about leaky gut, and food intolerance, it's kind of like if you think about it, if you take something like kind of not rough, but just if you take it and just rub your skin like this, if you just do it for a minute or two, it's not going to cause you a problem. If you were to continually do that for like a day or two, it's going to eventually get irritated, start breaking down, sloughing off the skin, and it's going to kind of, like I said, you're going to have a sore there. That's what's happening in your gut when you're eating those foods that aren't getting broken down. So that's kind of how this leaky gut kind of develops. Everybody kind of know what leaky gut is. Okay, it's basically we get an permeability and food particles start getting into the body where they shouldn't be. And like I said, causing that immune response. So that's just kind of a way to kind of understand how those food intolerances kind of just break down that gut. And one of the biggest causes of food intolerance is actually a deficient digestion. So either low stomach acid, not producing enough pancreatic enzymes, not producing enough bile, so you're not digesting that food fully, that as it moves through the digestive tract, it just causes more burden. And like I said, that's a lot of times where those come from. All right, genetics. So this is one, a lot of people just assume, oh, I have this gene, I might as well just not worry about it because it's just, it's my destiny. And that's not the way genetics work. They really thought when they started looking into genetics, that was going to be it. They were going to be able to code every disease, figure it out from there, but it didn't work that way. So now there's a new field called epigenetics, which is actually the study of how our genes are actually expressed. So when we think of genetics, we think of it, so genetics load the gun, lifestyle fires it. So your lifestyle is what turns those genes on or off, okay? So that's the way. So what I tell people, if you know you have heart disease in your family, then that means you need to put even more work into keeping your heart healthy, or diabetes, or breast cancer. You know, any of those, all of those are going to be turned on by your lifestyle. And like I said, it can be toxins in our environment, which is a big one. It can be stress. It can be just lack of nutrition. It can really be anything. So, do you have a question? I saw you did. Okay. Causes of heart disease. So I like to talk, this is just kind of an example. So heart disease is one. If you go to your medical doctor, what's the number one thing? When you think of heart disease, what's the number one health condition that your doctor is going to treat for heart disease? High blood pressure is one.
Cholesterol.
And cholesterol. Yeah, and those are the two. And those are definitely associated with it. But are they the cause of heart disease? No, they're not. The cause is the inflammation that's happening in the body that's increasing the amount of cholesterol that's being plaqued in the arteries that's causing the arteriosclerosis. That's the cause. That's what happens. And these are the cause. Diabetes. So any blood sugar dysregulation increases inflammation in the body. Genetics can be a factor, but lifestyle. So being inactive, you know, having a highly processed diet, not getting those nutrients in there. Of course, aging is going to affect it. Smoking and gender. I mean, those are just all kind of more the causes, the things that lead up to it. So this is kind of highlights more what I just kind of talked about. So if we have, insulin resistance, you know, diabetes, systemic inflammation, like I said, that's like you have a fire in your arteries. And how your body puts that out is with cholesterol. So what it does is it starts mobilizing LDL, which is we always term bad cholesterol. So it mobilizes it, and it comes in, and so it's like you almost have scratches on your arteries. So the LDL comes in and it sticks to the side, and it's big and bulky. So what should happen then is HDL, your good cholesterol, should come by, take the excess LDL back to the liver to get rid of it. And that's the way it should work. And that's why cholesterol is really about ratios. But like I said, we've got to figure out a way to put out that fire. So again, if you're taking a statin, a cholesterol lowering medication, you're not stopping that process. You're just decreasing the amount of cholesterol your body can make to try to fix the problem. Does that make sense? I feel like I kind of screwed that up. But really, so what we need to do, instead of just blocking our body's ability to make cholesterol, which we need, by the way, our brain needs it. We need it to make hormones. We need it to repair and rebuild our body. Instead of that, we need to put out the fire. Okay, does that kind of make sense? I had a better way of explaining that, but I feel like I missed part of it. So, all right, but like I said, you can kind of see on this slide, hypertension is definitely usually more of another symptom of like insulin resistance. Honestly, insulin resistance is the number one thing that is associated with heart disease. That's almost where most of it starts. And that's just from overeating carbohydrates, processed food, and things like that. But yeah, the inflammation, but also omega-3 to 6 ratio. That's a big one too. So if we don't have enough omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory, and too many omega-6s, we're just going to have rampant inflammation in the body. Any questions on that, guys? Okay. I think I kind of hit on a lot. This is just another one I kind of threw in on insulin resistance because I always have to talk about insulin resistance because it's just such a big problem. So insulin resistance is basically just where you've overeaten carbohydrates for a long time. Now your cells have just become resistant to insulin. So now your blood sugar can't go down. So it takes more and more insulin to bring the blood sugar down. at some point your body can't put out enough insulin anymore. That's when we start having metformin, insulin, and different things like that. And that's what type 2 diabetes is, okay? These are kind of the things that are associated with it. So usually, definitely can cause fatigue, constant hunger, inability to lose weight is a big one, craving for sugar, fatigue after meals, aches and pains are a big one, abdominal obesity, and of course can cause PCOS, infertility, hormone imbalances, and all of those things. So that's why half of my practice is focusing on insulin resistance. Because even though you don't think you have it, I just had another one, I ran some blood work, I didn't think she had it. She does. And so now we're going to kind of change our course of treatment. And that's going to probably just change everything we're doing. So, but A1C is a good indicator for it. Glucose is okay. Sometimes we need to look a little bit deeper and actually look at our fasting insulin. And definitely fasting glucose, not just glucose. And sometimes there's another one called C-peptide that I don't use as often. So, but then we also need to see, is there inflammation and things like that that may be adding to the insulin resistance? Any questions? Estrogen dominance is one I don't talk about a lot. But that's another big one for women. So what happens is we start producing too much estrogen, and then we're exposed to toxins, and when we're exposed to toxins, our body actually turns those into estrogen. So then that's how women start becoming estrogen dominant. And once we start getting too much estrogen stores and stimulates your body to make fat. So we just start storing and making more fat. Again, liver detoxes have it to really help your body get rid of that excess estrogen to help balance. And that's how it helps balance hormones, is usually by decreasing that estrogen.
How do you, if you have these symptoms, so symptomatic, you could say, I'm sure, I bet that's, but how do you find out if somebody really is insulin resistant? What are the markers?
Blood work. Like I said, yeah.
The A1C, you said?
A1C is usually a good one, because usually when it starts creeping up, that's usually a pretty good indication. So if it's above 5.4, it's starting, definitely above 5.6.
So when you see an A1C that's 5.4, you're saying that's an indicator they are insulin resistant. Yeah. Not that something else could be going on, but that's
pretty much
the only thing that could be happening.
There's pretty much type 1 diabetes or type 2. And type 1 is going to be where your pancreas is not making insulin anymore. So, and then type 2 is what we're talking about.
Okay.
Really, I'm sure there are other things, but I don't ever.
Well, when they're coupled with what we're already looking at as symptoms, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
So what about the glucose levels? So you use the A1C and the glucose levels in tandem?
I use A1C a little bit more, but but a fasting glucose, because like I said, for example, the one I was just working with, her A1C was actually normal. I think it was like 5.5, but then I was shocked and I knew her fasting glucose was elevated, but that can fluctuate. That can kind of depend, did you sleep very well the night before? Did you eat something the day before? So that can fluctuate. But I went ahead and I ran her fasting insulin. That one doesn't lie. So her fasting insulin was elevated, so that's okay. So what's happening is so when you go 8 to 10 hours without eating, you should basically have almost no insulin in your blood, because there's no reason for it.
What kind of reading would you get at that level?
I can't remember the numbers.
Okay.
I have my cheat sheets, so I can't. On insulin specifically, I can't remember the exact numbers. So
Does that vary per person, or
not too
is
much?
it always if they're fasting is when you want to take that?
Yes. Yeah, fasting, because like I said, if you've been fasting for that long, you shouldn't have insulin in your blood, because you don't need it, because there's no glucose. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it seems like in the morning, glucose levels are really high.
And shouldn't be.
And that's
It shouldn't be. That's insulin resistance.
Okay, so that's a real.
Should not be. It should be probably between about 80 and 95. Let's say that.
And then levels out throughout the rest of the day if you're fasting.
Yeah.
But then goes right back up at night. Anyway, I won't go.
It should never go up too much. And after an hour or so of eating, it should be back down to that 80 to 95.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if it's, it depends on what you eat. I can't say after you eat how high it's going to go.
Right.
So yeah. So
it just seems. I just was. And I don't want to make this personal. I'm just saying. I've noticed through the day I can be really low. And then at night, when I first wake up in the morning, it's high. Yeah. And it's like I haven't even had anything. I fasted for 2 days.
Yeah. And so here it is. It's probably because your insulin's running high and you're not getting that glucose into the cell. so it's like staying there. Now there can be, sometimes there's other things going on.
Right.
It can be. Yeah,
I
so,
was just trying to understand.
and this next slide too kind of helps understand it, because so for weight loss especially, whenever you've got that going on, so if you have insulin in the blood at all time, you are never getting into your stored fat. So the triglyceride there, that's a fat cell. So yeah, so when we eat something, our body stimulates insulin. Insulin's job is to take that sugar and put it into the cell, store it as fat or get it into the muscle. So then when insulin is in the blood, your body can never tap into the stored fat. So that's also another sign of insulin resistance, is if you can't go more than 2 or 3 hours without eating, without getting shaky. You know, they may be able to sleep, but if during the day you're getting shaky, that could also be an indication that your body can't go into and tap into the stored fat. So, yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's I can hit the lows a lot, but then it's just certain times of the day, even when I haven't eaten, it will go up.
Yeah.
That to me makes no sense.
Okay.
But anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be your adrenal glands maybe struggling to keep things, you know, balanced, and yeah. So I mean, there could.
But
be
there's all
reasons.
kinds of, in essence, what you're saying. There's a lot. There's indicators that you can use that can help identify somebody who is insulin resistant.
Yes. Yeah.
When they have all of these symptoms, you know, then you can pretty much help them with figuring out what they need to do.
Yes. Like I said, that's half my practice at this point. So yeah.
It's crazy how much a problem that really is.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't seem like, maybe it's just me, but it's like, where's this been all my, where has this been? Where's this science been? And it's like
there
the
wasn't
light
a
bulb
need
kind
for it because we were eating real food. That's the simple question.
Yeah.
It's because of the processed food that we're eating.
And
We take no thought into what we put into our mouth. That's why. Because 50 years ago, this didn't exist.
Right.
But once we went through the Industrial Revolution, everybody started eating pounds of sugar every year, processed grains and everything. That's where it came from.
And people don't even realize or know about it.
No,
really.
yeah.
It's amazing when you do.
And that's why we've got an epidemic of obesity and metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes, which is all kind of the same thing, honestly. But yeah, I mean, that's why. Because we're just not putting any thought into our food anymore.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You can bring an awareness to it.
Thank you. All right, any questions on that? Did I explain that well? Okay, so, and this is why fasting is also so important when you're trying to lose weight. So, especially, doing like intermittent fasting where you're fasting for like 16 hours. Because what happens for that first 10 to 12 hours, you're actually burning through your glycogen, which is stored sugar in your liver. After that 12 hours, that's when you're really burning your stored fat. And that's the best time to do your cardio also, because you're going to get the most benefit there, because that's when you're actually storing stored fat that puts you into ketosis, and you're kind of burning that.
There's a question. Is a multivitamin good to take for this?
For insulin resistance?
Well, I don't know when this question. For some reason, the question didn't come up here. She found it. So,
Or is it just good to take in general?
Depends on the multivitamin. So the question on is a good multivitamin good to take? It completely depends on the multivitamin. So there are great ones out there, and there are ones that are no better than chemicals. So a lot of the B vitamins that are on the market are actually made more from tar than actual food. So that's a very hard question to ask. So yes, I think everybody should be taking a good quality whole food multivitamin. But, I mean, the one-a-days from Walmart, I think they're doing more harm than good. And you ask your plumber, and they'll tell you, because they find them in the sewage, because your body doesn't even break them down. So, yeah, if I didn't answer that question well, just kind of put another one. They're trying to watch for them, so. Okay, so we're going to jump in and start talking a little bit more about detox. So, we live in a very toxic environment. We get it from the air air we breathe. We constantly drinking caffeine because we're tired. Cigarette smoke, cosmetics, heavy metals, household cleaners, which is one we can control. So some of these we can't control, but some we can. Pesticides and herbicides, pharmaceuticals, preservatives, and more. I mean, that's just an idea of where some of these chemicals can come from. They affect our health in every aspect. Your body, if it's constantly dealing with all of these toxins, it gets just burdened and overwhelmed. And like we said, it stresses the body out. So it can cause fatigue and difficulty sleeping, digestion and other GI problems, food cravings, reduced mental clarity, low libido, hormone imbalances, infertility, high blood pressure, food intolerances. I mean, it just goes on and on. So we just want to make sure we're dealing with these. How do they enter the body? We kind of went through the list already, but through the digestive tract, through the skin, and through the lungs. Those are pretty much the ways they get in. And then you can see the digestive tract, of course, food is where most of it comes from, but also our water. Soft drinks is a big one. I mean, there's no benefit. Everything you put into your mouth, you should ask, is this benefiting my body or harming my body? That's really what you should be thinking when it goes into your body. If it has no benefit, drinking it or eating it. So, and like I said, there are some things, yes, maybe it has some sugar in it, but you know, if it's got fruit too, you're getting some benefits. You're getting some nutrients. You're getting something from it. So, skin penetration, of course, perfumes, lotions, hairsprays, cosmetics. It's one that you can easily control. But of course, the lungs is kind of a little bit harder when you're maybe at work or out and about. But at home, you can do as much as you can to kind of decrease that exposure. But diet contributes to a large part of it for most people. So MSG is just one example, which is actually a neurotoxin. A lot of people get severe migraines when they eat MSG. My husband is actually one of them. But it's a debilitating headache. High fructose corn syrup. That's another big reason for insulin resistance right there. So that really spikes your blood sugar, and that, I say actually insulin resistance, really more fatty liver. That's really responsible for fatty liver. So trans fats. So trans fats is one that the government came in and said it can't be in our products anymore. So if you look, it's still on there and it always says 0. But I actually have a patient who works for that company that labels foods, so she knows this. She said if it has less than 0 amount of trans fat per serving, they can put 0 on the box. So have you ever noticed how some things, the serving is like a tablespoon? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you could still be getting a significant amount of trans fat even if the label says 0. So yeah, like I said, she told me that. I was like, are you kidding me? So, but like peanut butter is a good example. If you just get the regular peanut butter, it's got trans fats in it. What are trans fats called on the label? Hydrogenated oils. Yeah, hydrogenated oils is the biggest. Yeah, I think that's the biggest one. So, so that's one to start looking for. And I tell people when you're reading labels, and we talk about this in the group, but if you're reading a label and you don't know what you're eating, put it back. So if you're like, what in the world is silicone dioxide or monosodium glutamate or something? And high fructose corn syrup, that's another one. They're changing the name. Mm-hmm. Now they're calling it cornstarch, and corn syrup, and things like that. So that's actually high fructose corn syrup. And I'm going to
like Red 40 and Allure, like all the names they have for the dyes too.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah. They get smart. They know people are starting to look for it, so they start changing the name. Funny story on high fructose corn syrup, real quick. Back when I started doing this, 10, 15 years ago, I was teaching a class, and it was still when the newspaper was out, because they had read an article about what I was doing and stuff. The Corn Association contacted me and sent me a whole packet with information on high fructose corn syrup.
How good it was or something?
Yeah. It's just regular sugar. It's not blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wow, I really hit a nerve. But it was kind of funny. I think I still have it somewhere. It just cracked me up. I was like, wow, I really got their attention. So they were trying to convince him, like, no, sorry, I'm buying it. Okay, ingested toxins. The U.S. is one of the worst. They allow over 10,000. I'm sure it's more than that now. But we've got so many toxins. And people get frustrated. I made a post a while ago that kind of showed 2 different oatmeals, one that was in the UK and one that was in the United States. And a lot of people got really mad and everything. And I don't blame them. But they're like, why does our government allow this? Well, I'm like, quit blaming the government. If you don't take responsibility for what goes into your body, you cannot expect the government to do it. That's why I'm like, no, you've got to educate yourself. You've got to understand what you're eating. So, and it's, now there's no excuse. There are good options out there everywhere. So, all right, the average American consumes 14 pounds of additives per year, 160 pounds of sugar, and 8 pounds of salt. And like I said, 50 years ago, this wasn't the way it was. So, all right, sugar is a huge one. You really need to think of sugar, especially just overly processed sugar, as a toxin. Because when we overeat it, it actually cuts our immunity. It actually blocks your body's ability to get vitamin C into the cell to fight viruses. So that's why, if over the holidays, everybody gets sick. Because all they did was they ate sugar for like a month straight, and eventually it gets, and they don't sleep and a lot of other things, but still. But if you eat 75 grams of sugar at it actually blocks your immune system for 2 hours. So that's something to kind of think about in the holidays. So it's not that you can't have it, we just need to do it in moderation. All right, so we'll do this real quick. It's always fun. Okay, so this is a food. This is ingredients in a food. What do you guys think this is? You guys can't say it. It's good you guys know. Any guesses on that? It's really popular. A lot of people drink them. And they might have improved. Actually, I don't think they have. I think I looked at one not long ago, and it hasn't improved much. These slides are kind of long. It is a protein shake. It's Slim Fast. So yeah, if you're drinking Slim Fast, that's what you're drinking. Most people have no idea. They don't ever look at it. They just look at the front. So yeah, that's Slim Fast. And I've had patients coming in, that's all they consume in a day. And they wonder why they're tired, not sleeping, their joints hurt and everything. I'm like, that's why.
And they used to have a diet plan.
Yeah. And like I said, they may have improved it a little bit
They
now.
haven't.
I don't think they have.
I looked at it. the
Oh,
other
did you?
day.
Okay, yeah, I don't think they have. So what's this one? Soybean oil, high fructose corn syrup, water, pickle relish, vinegar, tomato paste, dehydrated egg yolk. Anybody got a guess on that one? This one's actually a salad dressing. Thousand Island. So okay. You know, we make Thousand Island. You know how easy it is?
So
It's
easy.
literally ketchup, relish, and mayonnaise, I think. I haven't made it in a long time. But yeah, and that's all it is. It's super simple to make at home. But yeah, without all the chemicals and everything else in it. So just get a good quality mayo, a good quality ketchup, and some relish. All right, what about this one? A lot of people feed this to their kids every morning.
Is that the brand? No.
It's a pastry.
Pop-Tart.
Yeah, it's a Pop-Tart.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, Pop-Tart. So I mean, we have no nutrition, tons of sugar, and red dye. And then we ask our kids to go sit in class. So, I mean, it's not rocket science on why our kids can't sit still. I mean, we're loading them up with this stuff, overstimulating their nervous system, and then taking recesses away. I mean, yeah, it's no mystery. All right, then this is one I added, so this is a better one. But see how much better those ingredients are? I mean, you know what you're eating. There's no chemicals. There's nothing in there. So it is possible. So these are crackers. These are Simple Mills almond flour crackers. So these are the only crackers we have in our house. So, I mean, they're food compared to chemicals. One simple little thing like that is every time you go to the grocery store and actually read the ingredients, it's going to change your health. That little thing will make a difference. So yes, it's going to be more expensive. I'm not going to say it's not. It will in the beginning. What you'll find is you'll eat less. Your kids will eat less because they're eating more nutritionally dense food and they're not starving all the time. Now, I say that I have 2 teenage boys in my house. They still eat a lot. But compared to other families that go through, like, we don't go through chips. We don't go through, because they don't snack on that stuff. If they eat it, it's with a meal. But that's not a snack. They go to snacks, for protein bars and apples and things like that. So believe me, we still go through the food, though. Okay. How do toxins leave the body? So we talked about how they get in. This is how they leave. So the lymphatic system, so that's going to be a system that only moves when our bodies move. If your muscles don't contract, your lymphatic system doesn't contract. And that's one of the main ways your body gets toxins out. So it runs kind of through the whole body. So that's why moving is so important. So they say sitting for more than an hour at a time throughout the day is actually as toxic to your body as smoking cigarettes, because those toxins are able to accumulate and affect your tissues. Your blood, of course, skin, we can actually detox through the skin. Another sign of an overburdened liver and kidneys. So if your liver and kidneys cannot get all the toxins out, you may start getting eczema. You may start getting rashes because your body is literally just trying to push things out through the skin. So a lot of times when we do these liver detoxes, people's skin really improve. Kidneys is another one, the colon, and then lungs and liver. So the biggest one we're going to talk about tonight is the liver. But really, I mean, all of this is equally important. And with the programs that we do, they all support all of this. Yeah, the next slide's coming up. Okay, so the liver has many functions, actually over like 600 different ones in our body. Most people, what do you guys think about? When you guys think of the liver, what do you think the main process is that it does? You guys know? I mean, filtered blood. Yeah, it does filter blood. But yeah, so it definitely does that, and it gets toxins out, which are basically dumped into the bile and then eliminated through our intestines. But it also converts thyroid hormones, which is a huge one. I mean, I guarantee 90% of the people who get put on thyroid medication don't have a thyroid problem. They have a liver problem. So when we're talking about thyroid hormones, you have T4 and then you have T3. T4 is the inactive form, which is actually produced by the thyroid. It has to be converted into T3 to actually be used in the body. So that conversion actually happens in the gut, the liver, and also the adrenal glands. So it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the thyroid. So processes the body stores sugar. Oh, we already kind of talked about the glycogen, so it processes and stores sugar. Converts sugar you eat into usable energy, creates bile to aid in the digestion of fats, removes hormones. It makes iron. It gets rid of excess cholesterol. I mean, like I said, it can go on and on and on. So that's why it's so important, and that's why we need to focus. Like if you just eat a diet to for a healthy liver, you're doing pretty good. Your body's gonna work a lot better. So when we're doing a detoxification program, we need to make sure we have certain nutrients that are going to support different phases of detoxification. So when we basically have 3 different phases. So a toxin's in the blood, it gets filtered through the liver. It has to go through phase 1 first. When it does this, it's in what we call an intermediate metabolite. This is actually more toxic than the original toxin because it has to change it to get it out of the body. So then it needs to go through phase 2, and then I kind of added phase 3. Phase 3 is to where it's actually eliminated through the body, and that's mainly through the bile and then through the intestines. So that's kind of the phase 3. So, but if we don't have these nutrients to support every phase of that, your body is not going to get those toxins out. So I see a lot of people who have done detoxes in the past, and the supplements didn't support all 3 of these phases, and they felt worse because it was kind of trying to convert it, but then, oh, I can't get it out of the body, so it just dumps it back into the tissues. And then your body stores it again, and it's actually, you feel worse. So also another thing, if you're losing weight and you lose a lot of weight all of a sudden, and then you start feeling worse, that's because your liver is overworked and it can't detox. So what happens is when your body can't get rid of something, it stores it in the fat. As you start losing fat, it starts letting go of those toxins. If your liver's not healthy, you can't get rid of it, and you feel horrible. Or it's trying to, and that's why you're just feeling bloated and yucky. So that's another reason. Any questions on that? I got another slide real quick. So the liver, it really just works like an oil filter in the car, is the best way to look at it. It has to go through each one. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So most liver detoxes, they're good about supporting the phase 1, but it's usually that phase 2 and then the elimination. A lot of people eliminate okay, but some don't. And that's what we call drainage. That phase 3 I also call drainage. If we're not draining and getting those toxins out, like I said, everything else is just going to make you feel worse. But a lot of programs don't support that phase 2, and that's usually a big problem for people. Okay. This is just my drainage funnel. I like to kind of point this out. So this is just kind of like how your body detoxes. So it's going to start in the cell because that's kind of where the toxin is. It's going to dump it into the organs and grab it from the organs and the tissues. Then it's going to be dumped into the lymphatic system. Then it goes into the liver, where the liver then dumps it into the bile, and then it goes into the colon. So the reason I point this out is because if we have a problem at any level of that, you're going to struggle to do a detoxification program. Again, a lot of people have come into me, they've tried to do them in the past, and they did not have a success rate, and that's usually because one of these is not working. And like I said, when they've worked with a practitioner in the past and not had good results, it's usually because they missed the drainage. They missed the down the bottom of it is the best way to look at it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's usually just not draining through the liver and gallbladder. All right, dealing with toxins. The body has 3 options when dealing with it. It can either bury them in the body, deposit them in the tissues, or get rid of them. And of course, our ideal is get rid of them. That's why we want to make sure that liver and then digestion is working the best. The best way I can describe a detoxification program is if you think of a funnel. So it's like we're constantly putting toxins into the body. and only so much can really come out at a time. So when we do a detoxification program, what we're doing is we're decreasing the amount going in. So we're going to be eating all whole foods, removing as much chemicals from our environment and our diet as we possibly can. Also, by using the nutritional supplements, we're opening up the amount coming out. That's kind of the way to look at it. And you're just allowing your body to catch up and get ahead. That's really how they work, and that's kind of the whole goal of them. Okay, any questions for me at this point? Okay, so we're going to run through the two programs real quick. We have two different ones. One is, I don't know why one's 21 days and one's 28 days. That's just the way they made them. So the 21 day we call the purification program. This one I have been using for over 15 years and had amazing results with it. It does have more pills than the other one we're going to talk about. But I find this one seems to be kind of a step up. A lot of times if somebody's new, hasn't done any detoxification program, we actually start with the 28-day SP detox balance, and then we move to this one. But some people are ready to go straight to this one. But the supplements are SP Cleanse, SP Complete, which is a protein powder that has also your greens and other things that support detoxification. Then we add fiber. I usually use the gastrofiber, and then something called SP Green Food, which is just phytonutrients. So the SP Cleanse is going to support that phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 detoxification. It's going to use, actually, I don't know how my slides got out of order. Okay, we're going to talk about SP Complete first. So the SP Complete is a protein powder. So this one is going to have all your essential nutrition to support detoxification. Protein is one thing that is very important for detoxification. Your liver needs that protein to detox. So that's why I usually use the whey protein if we can. If we have dairy sensitivities, we might use a pea or a rice-based one. It just kind of depends on the person. But if I can, I do like the whey protein. And it is a grass-fed, good quality one. So it does, of course, support and maintain a healthy weight. This is one a lot of people like to continue afterwards. They come in chocolate and vanilla, and people actually really like these. Just some of the ingredients, like I said, whey protein, barley grass, which supplies the antioxidants, rice, buckwheat, flax. It provides fiber to support healthy elimination, and then alfalfa, which promotes digestive health. So like I said, these are the ingredients. You know, we're not looking at vitamin A, vitamin C, things like that. This is what's actually in the supplements. Now, these are all going to have, like vitamin C, for example, alfalfa is very, very high in vitamin C, but it's not ascorbic acid, because ascorbic acid is kind of like the eggshell without everything else in the egg. You actually need vitamin P, vitamin K, enzymes, phytochemicals to actually use the ascorbic acid. So that's why it's better to get it in that form. Calcium, magnesium, grapeseed, red wine extract, that's going to be for those antioxidants and helps cardiovascular. Buckwheat supports your blood vessel walls. So buckwheat's a really good one if you get broken blood vessels. Got several patients, they'll get broken blood vessels in their eyes. If we keep them on something called Ceruta Plus, it doesn't happen because of the buckwheat. It has something called rutin in it that helps support our veins. So it makes a big difference, and it can really help. I started getting them actually in my hand, my finger after COVID. I had COVID, and for some reason I kept getting broken blood vessels just randomly in my hand. I started taking the Ceruta Plus, and I haven't had problems. So it was just something probably that got depleted while I had COVID, and it just my body couldn't get it back. So choline and inositol are great for nerve and brain function. Also, choline is important for bile production, so we need it to make bile. I'm going to skip that one. That's just one I don't. There we go. There's the SP Cleanse. That's what I was looking for. So this one combines 20 unique whole foods and botanical ingredients, supports healthy kidney, liver, and gallbladder function. So like I said, all those phases of detoxification in there. Encourages healthy digestive function, supports the normal elimination of toxins, and promotes healthy elimination. Again, this is a great one that some people like to stay on after because they just feel good after. And we sometimes will just continue for a while, but then we usually don't need it for very long. So, but like the juniper berry, red clover flower, apple pectin. Apple pectin is a great binder. It's a fiber, but it actually helps bind toxins. Burdock root, you can kind of see barley grass. So these, again, more like a shopping list than actually just a list of chemicals. Fenugreek. A lot of people haven't heard of fenugreek, but that one's great for cholesterol. So also really good for sinuses. So that's another thing people see usually improve when we do detoxes. Your sinuses improve. But they'll actually sometimes get worse at first because they'll actually start detoxing. So you may get stuffy for a few days, but then they usually improve quite a bit. All right, green food. This is just so we start with the SP Cleanse, and then on day 8 you switch over to the green food. So this is kind of doing a little bit of the same thing. but it's not pushing the detox quite as much as the SP cleanse. So this is more just supporting more than the other one. So, and it's mainly Brussels sprouts, kale, broccoli, whatever. Where's the other ones? Brussels sprouts, kale, buckwheat, barley grass, and alfalfa. So it's pretty much all your greens. So, all right, and then fiber. So the purpose of fiber is to bulk up the stool and also bind toxins. So as your liver's filtering it out, put it into your bile, then your bile is going into the intestines. The fiber is helping bind things to help eliminate it. That's kind of how it works. All right. Any questions on the 21-day purification program? Okay. So then this is the 28-day SP detox balance. It's a lot simpler. It's basically all in a protein powder. So this one supports more what we call metabolic detoxification. So this is the one I usually start with people who have blood sugar issues, fatty liver, things like that. This one also really helps increase that hormone called adenopectin and decreases leptin. So it basically helps you feel more satisfied. So again, that's why some people, they just feel better when they do this, because it just kind of helps balance those hormones. But it has soluble and insoluble fiber, amino acids. That's the list. I mean, that's everything that's in it. So in 2 scoops, you're getting all of that stuff. So it's got the juniper berries in there, burdock root, dandelion, broccoli. I'm trying to think of some people would have heard of. Artichokes in there, Oregon grapefruit. So, all right. So that's a great formula for people. So, and this one is dairy free. They actually use the pea protein, flax, oat, and pumpkin seed for the protein. So, all right. Weight loss, I look at it as a side effect. Of course, a lot of people, it's their main goal. So, it's very rare that I don't have people lose weight during these programs. It happens, and again, that's usually a sign of insulin resistance. Another good sign of insulin resistance is if you keep losing the same 10 pounds and regaining it. You lose 10 pounds, regain it. You can't get past that 10 pounds. That's usually, again, because of that insulin resistance. So, but typical weight loss, for both programs, 8 to 15 pounds. Guys will always lose twice as much. I've had a guy who lose 30 pounds one time in 3 weeks. But yeah, but usually, and honestly, by the time people get through the program, yes, they're happy about the weight loss, but they don't care about that as much as they're just happy they feel better. They're finally like, oh my gosh, I feel better. And that just kind of gets you on the path to really continue to lose the weight and make the lifestyle changes. All right. Remember, how well your body detoxifies determines our susceptibility to health challenges. So if you've got these toxins in your body, it's going to eventually set something off. And it is the biggest cause of cancer. It is, these toxins that we're exposed to. If we take in toxins quicker than our body can get rid of them, we're in trouble. So, and toxins usually do not affect just one system. They're going to affect your entire body. So, that list of symptoms we went through is just like the tip of the iceberg. It can really be anything. So, all right. So this program, of course, is about losing weight the right way, stop yo-yo dieting. But really what we do is, if you're wanting to do the detox program, you buy the kit, and then we put you into a private Facebook group. And that's where we've got 4 coaches now. 5. So, but it's me, Micah Evans is our health coach, Dee Dee Lopez is our personal trainer, Jill Shea, which is my sister, she's going to be helping out, and then we also have Dr. Devin Heckert, who runs the Spring Hill office. So we're all in this group to basically educate and support you. So we're in there every single day. One of us is doing a live on some topic, and then of course any question you have, you put it into the group, and we will answer. And I always tell people, if you absolutely don't feel comfortable putting the question in the group, you can message one of us, but usually I'm like, if you have the question, somebody else has the question. So the group is just about helping and supporting, and I leave people in there after they've done the detox program in the past, because you want them there, because they're going to answer as many questions as we are. Because I've got Penny, I don't know what's her name, I guess. She wouldn't care, but I got one person who's been doing this with me for 15 years. She does it at least once a year. And she has so many tips and things for people. It's great. So, I kind of just went through all that. I think that's about it. But yeah, that's kind of everything in the group. Daily education, daily accountability, workout programs for all levels, recipes, lifestyle hacks. And like I said, and then we always ask, what do you need more information on? Just tell us and we will give you more. So, what you'll be eating. That's just kind of the list. I mean, it's pretty much whole foods. We're just getting rid of the processed food. We pretty much, any of your meats are going to be good. If you get with beef, if you can do grass fed, it's always going to be best. But your chicken, your fish, your wild game, anything like that. Then of course veggies, a wide variety of veggies. That one kind of depends on the person. If we got some insulin resistance, we're going to restrict some of the carbs a little bit more. Then of course fats. We need to make sure we're getting plenty of fat in our diet. That is usually the biggest downfall for people when they're trying to make lifestyle changes. They usually go in, they cut out all the carbs, but then they don't increase the fat. So they're starving. So they're like white knuckling it. If they lose the weight, once they get there, they're like, screw it. And they eat everything and the weight's right back. But usually getting that fat in there stabilizes your blood sugar, makes you feel more satisfied so you can stick to it better. So fat is super, super important. So, and then of course, the fruit is on there. You know, we usually tell you stick to the lower carb fruit. So that's going to be your berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, things like that. And usually people are reserving that for their smoothies if they're going to do it. So, oh, and of course water. Water is the main thing you should be drinking. So, but you can do some herbal teas. We usually do say coffee. It's not a deal breaker. If you absolutely have to have 1 cup of coffee, it's going to be okay. But I do usually try to encourage people to let it go because people are amazed how much their energy improves. And then they're like, oh, I don't need it anymore. They still miss it because coffee is a comfort thing. So, but some people have been playing around with chicory coffee, things like that. I haven't tried that yet.
Mushroom.
So, yeah, there's mushroom coffee. There's other options too. All right. Well, any questions? What time is it? Yeah, we're running a little long, so. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else I need to. Oh, yeah, the price real quick. So the price of the program, if you're wanting to do the detox with the supplements, that's going to be $283. So that includes everything we just talked about, all the supplements, the 28 days of education. Even if you do the 21-day program, you get the 28 days. Daily support motivation, recipes, workout programs. It also does include a free 1-month membership at Body Max. That's for new members. 1 free personal training consult, and then also a consult with Micah. So that's all included in that. So now if you don't want to do the supplements and just want access to the group, that's going to be $130. If you do it tonight, you can do it for $99. If it's a couple, they could join for $130. So, all right. I think that is everything I have. All right. Well, everybody out there, thank you for watching. Like I said, if you have any questions, just go ahead and put it in the comments below one of the lives, and we will get to it.
Have a good evening.